This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today to start turning your dreams into a reality. Much for taking time out of your day to listen to this podcast, because I know for a fact you can be listening to almost any other show, but you came in and listened to this one, so it means the world to me. And get ready, seriously, this guest that I have on today is extremely important because she is inspiring the world to make less excuses, really. I mean, that's what her work it brightens your day, because she's someone who, even though she has cerebral palsy, she's not letting that be her excuse of why she's going out and attacking her goals. Her name is Wynn Charles, and she has defied the odds by becoming an author. Her memoir, I Win, is an amazing story of how she remembers her life through the years of having a condition called CP. As a competitor in the Kona Ironman triathlon, CEO of her own jewelry design company, and motivational speaker, Wynn Charles truly is an inspiration to many. So, today, join me in inviting the one and only Wynn Charles. Hey, Wynn, how you doing today?
I should probably say that you need to do my intros more often, because it doesn't sound like me, for the exception of the coughing attack. Geez, not a very professional interviewer I am, for the exception of the coughing attack. But I am doing perfectly fine, and I'm here to speak to you guys about cerebral palsy and taking the world by storm by being a creative writer and going down that path. And yeah.
All right, let's start it off. So I think this question right away can get us into that, is like, what's the, and that it's super long sort of answer, but what do you think is the best story that you have from your life that gives an underlying message?
What do I think is the best story from my life that gives the underlying message? Well, the best story that I have in my life, as it says in my bio, I was lucky enough to compete in the Kona Ironman. Unfortunately, due to the winds and due to the hills of Kona, Hawaii, we did not finish the Kona Ironman. And due to some restrictions on our end, we did not finish the Kona Ironman. But for those of you who are triathletes, if you could just picture Kona, Hawaii, and picture that bike ride, that tremendously long bike ride, and I was like, what am I doing being pulled on the back of this bike? And my teammate says, talk to me, it's getting tough, talk to me. And of course, I wasn't in the position, unfortunately, to pedal a bike the way she had me set up. It wasn't a pretty picture. And so I'm trying to keep her motivated. And of course, that was a disaster and a half. But I think trying to keep other people motivated is what I do.
That is amazing. Yeah, I would say that exact thing. It's like all of a sudden when you have to motivate somebody, you find this new profound energy inside of yourself. And, leading into that, what do you think is the one thing that we should know about your expertise and the industry that you are currently inside of right now?
The creative writing industry or the cerebral palsy industry? Which one, Logan?
I think they kind of lead into one another, wouldn't you say?
Okay, okay. Well, I'll give you the perspective of the creative writing industry. Then I'll give you the perspective of having a PhD in cerebral palsy. And so I'll give you the creative writing industry perspective this way. You gotta hook your reader. You gotta hook your reader because they can go choose another book on the Kindle app, like there's known to all. There's thousands and thousands of books being published, and there's thousands and thousands of options, like this podcast or like my podcast, Ask Win, by the way. And there's thousands and thousands of millennials consuming content over the Thanksgiving week when this interview is being recorded. And so you gotta hook people in to your books and you gotta hook people into sticking around to learning about the boring subject of cerebral palsy.
Yeah, otherwise you're competing against what? Netflix, you're competing against audiobooks. I mean, like it is a competitive world. It really is. But I think that out of all the creative work that you've done and found yourself going, hey, wow, like this works or this doesn't work. What sort of one habit do you have for yourself that allows you to be creative every day?
Well, my podcast, let's just say that my podcast is my creative outlet, and my podcast is my creative outlet. I've been lucky enough to have some of the big names on my podcast, like Will from Modern Family on my podcast, and I've been lucky enough to have some of the big names. And without my podcast, and without most people's podcast, people wouldn't speak to us. They wouldn't know from a hole in the wall who we were.
Yeah, I think you're so right on that. Like, a podcast is like just such a life hack. That's so cool. So cool. With that being said, what is one of your favorite quotes, Win? Because I asked that quote because I think it gives such a context in who we are as human beings and who we are trying to strive towards.
Well, my quote is by Maya Angelou, and it's people will forget what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. I love that quote. I love that quote. In your opinion, what's the key to happiness, Win?
The key, in my opinion, the key to happiness is just living the creative lifestyle and living your dreams. I was actually forced not to live my dreams until I was 23 years old. I was forced to go into the education system and get a degree in education, um, in early childhood education, because I came from a household. I'm 31 right now, by the way, and I came from a household that said you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer, you got to be a teacher, and so my mother, being the immigrant from Canada that she immigrated to the Bahamas and then immigrated here to Aspen, Colorado, had that philosophy. And I'm coming to find out that most immigrant parents have that philosophy. My dad, on the other hand, is like, I don't care as long as you live your dreams and be happy about it.
I think you nailed it right on the head. That is it. That is totally the truth bomb that I wanted to hear just now. Like that's incredible. Like, and being able to truly hear your own heart and mend it with hearts of others that you really care about. Like, that's what it's all about for sure. Um, I would love to ask, Win, what is one of your favorite books and why?
Oh, what is one of my favorite books and why? I would have to say The Secret Life of Bees or Big Magic. Big Magic is written by Elizabeth Gilbert, and it talks about creativity and how she got rejected by her publisher because of um, Big because Eat Play Love was she wrote it as a creative piece, and I go, oh, well, this won't sell. This won't do anything. And it's like, yes, it will. Just believe in me and believe in my work. And so, Big Magic is a good one. Or The Secret Life of Bees.
I love it. I love both of those books. Huge fan of it, Elizabeth Gilbert. She's like the modern day Buddha, or the modern day like Mother Teresa. Like just filled with wisdom. I love her to death. One of the things I want to ask you though is because my audience, like, they really, really, really resonate with people that just show up as them. And I'm not saying that you haven't. But what's like one thing in your business right now that you think you're struggling with most?
Making sales of my books, making sales of my books, honestly, and being independent published author, especially when Amazon dissidents with and shuts down your books, which they did to most authors with and without disabilities. Selling my books is I have the most difficult time and the most struggle with that.
Thank you so much for saying that and sharing that. And I think just being open and being honest and real with that, it helps us like realize like, hey, like what we see and what we hear about, what we see on social media, what we, like, oh, we see this person's name on a book. It's not always what you get. What you see is not always what you get. And so to share that, I think may give someone insight and they go, hey, wow, like, I've written a book too, and it was really hard selling it. But I think the most important part is who you became because of your writing it, and sort of that's the gift that you get.
I
So,
agree. I definitely agree.
to wrap it all up, I got three more questions for you. When I would love to ask you, you know, what desires do you feel like you're fulfilling for yourself right now versus trying to just people please and doing it for other people?
Well, I don't give uh flying rat's ass as to what people think. I was in an in-person meeting today because my financial situation is changing in a good way. And so, as part of my financial situation changing, I have to go through a bunch of these meetings. And my dad was saying, well, Wynn is a writer, but she has a tutor to help her. And I don't give a rat's ass as to what people think of my writing. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't.
When I'm giving you such a huge virtual hug right now, my girl, that's awesome. I love that. I
Well,
love that you say that.
you can't be the critical monster on your own writing. And as we record this interview, it's the end of National Novel Writing Month, which I participated in. I didn't do very well. I got a couple words of a novel started, but I didn't do very well in writing the whole entire time. But if people like my writing, they like it. But if they don't, they don't.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're so right. You're so right. I mean, and that's I think a lesson that so many people need to hear, just because, the whole killing your darlings. I mean, with writing, that's a really hard thing to do, is killing your darlings. It is not easy at all to do that. So I got just two more questions for you. The second to last question is, I think there's a few people that are like listening to this, they're like, I want to follow more of Win, and I want to find out what else she's doing. Where's just the one place that I can send people to get more of you, find out more of what you're doing in the world?
Twitter, and that is Win Kelly, Kelly, Charles, Charles, and of course it's the at sign. Or LinkedIn, just Google, search my name on LinkedIn, and I should pop up. I've deleted all my LinkedIn profiles except for one, and I am looking for a job in the social media field or in the freelance writing field that I'm on a mission to find. And if you guys want to be nice and be an equal opportunity employer, that would be wonderful on my end. And as I said, I'm getting a degree right now, and I'm going back to school after I get my associate's degree. I'm going to get a creative writing degree and to get a creative writing degree again, and then get a master's degree, a MFA in creative writing.
Oh, that's so awesome. You're a true, I don't want to say you're a hustler, but you're a true champion for keeping young. Because I think like the notage of a hustler is just,
Yeah.
it's a silly word to me. I think there's just too much negative connotation towards that word. And so I love to just say that you're a go-getter. Like, you just chase after it. But
Well, thank you for saying that.
oh, you're so welcome. Of course. When this has been incredible. Like, gosh, I think this is like the true blueprint to just rawness, realness, being. I'd love to actually title this episode Rawness, Realness. And even though you have cerebral palsy, doesn't mean that you can't conquer the world. So it's like, to me, you're just giving the blueprint of what it is to show up as yourself. And so I think there's a ton of wisdom inside questions instead of answers all the time. So I'd love to leave the audience with a sort of like self-inquisitive question, because my biggest fear on this podcast is that people just listen to it as entertainment and they don't actually do anything with it. So I want people to like hit the record button on their phone and answer this one question that you're about to give us, either, what is your why, or another question that you like to think about to try to unlock yourself when you're kind of caught inside life.
And Logan, I'll use the title of your podcast. What is your itch that you want to go scratch on a podcast?
I'm smiling so hard right now. Scratch your own itch. I did not pay her to say that. I swear. I just think that.
Nope. Nope, he did not pay me to say that. So, what is your own itch that you want to go scratch by listening to a podcast or creating your own podcast? And if you guys want to reach out to me to help you create your own podcast, I'll help you guys do that.
That is seriously just Absolutely beautiful. Seriously. Guys, if you're listening to this, please follow Win. I love that. I know for a fact she's a champion of this life. She's a champion of mine, and you know, she's been very, very cool with. I got sick last week, and she was cool with rescheduling and everything, and you know, so it goes to show you that if you do decide to work with her, she's flexible and she works with you. And last but not least, thank you guys so much. Again, hit that subscribe button if you found this inspirational or inspiring. Inspirational or inspiring. I mean, inspirational or insightful. See, we all make mistakes. Own up to them, you know. And I won't be editing that out, just because this is a raw, you know, real show. So thank you again. When you're just incredible. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
There'll be girls across the nation that'll eat this up. They don't know that it's your soul, but could you bottle it up? Get down to the heart of it. No, it's my heart. Your shit out of your luck. Don't make me tell you again. Woo! Love, love, love. Hey. Love, 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 love.
Oh, wow. You made it to the very end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with your host, Logan Tyler Nelson. To make it to the end? Gosh, that doesn't happen very much nowadays. I mean, especially with the constant distraction. So, I appreciate all of the efforts that you just took out of your day to make it to the end. And if you hit that subscribe button and leave a review, you would have no idea what that would mean to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to hit that subscribe button. And if you leave a review, check it out. Just screenshot it, send it to me, and I'd love to host your review out on the show. But don't ever forget, like I say, you matter and you're enough.
Love is the main reason for how all this happened. Love for all my fans, love for all the shows. Got love for all my memories, no matter where I go. Even if I'm out to nothing, I know there's always something. It's not a fitness test, but it'll always